Hey guys, this is Manu Kalia again, physical therapist and Ayurvedic herbalist, and in our series on shoulder strengthening exercises, we're going to move on to the next set of things. The first series of exercises we talked about thus far have been on scapular or shoulder girdle muscle dynamic stabilization. So those are your pivoters, that's your base. So once you got the base working and those guys are working well, you progress on to your protectors, which are your rotator cuff muscles specifically. Your rotator cuff is comprised of your supraspinatus, infraspinatus, your subscapularis, and your teres minor. Even your bicep tendon, the long head inserts through there, that also stabilizes that shoulder. And so your rotator cuff muscles are working dynamically to keep that humeral head in that glenoid fossa and working through different ranges and different positions. Okay, that protects that joint there, as well as allowing you to do different movements. So in the progression of things, you got your scapular stabilization going first, and then you work on your protectors. Okay, so your pivoters, and you go to your protectors. So these are my protection muscles. All right. So we're going to talk about your external rotators first. So which are your supraspinatus and your infraspinatus more specifically. And a common exercise I see a lot of people doing at the gym or other places for rehab too are with a band, either with a band or with a cable. I see people standing in a place and doing external rotation exercises. Now, I'm not a great fan of these because you're really standing in one locked position and just doing this movement. And sometimes it doesn't feel too hot on that joint. So plus I like to make it a little bit more dynamic, a little more functional. So I think what works better in my experience is, if we had to go through a progression of things, is involve the whole shoulder girdle movement with it and some trunk movement too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that position first. So I get my scapular muscle set and then I get myself set here. And now remember, you don't need too much weight for this. Stay light because you're going high repetitions and low weight. You're going for endurance of these muscles and motor control too. So once I set that, I'm not going to move this now. Alright? I'm going to do more stepping with my feet, so it's still isometric exercise for your rotator cuff muscles. I step out, I keep low in that position, stable. I step back in. Right? Step out, step back in. Alright? That would be the first part of that. The easier way to do it. Now the second step is a bit more dynamic. And in that, you want to think about it as if I'm picking up a gallon of milk, I'm going from here, I'm placing it out here. Yeah? So my external rotators are working. Your tennis backhand, perfect example, out through here. I'm working on a lot of those muscles. Okay? Pushing off things, off the ground, or pushing off of an object. Again, those guys are working. Stabilizers. And your external rotators. So we're going to make it dynamic by going, starting position here, set your shoulder blade again. And then I step out, and I externally rotate. Now, I also bring my shoulder girdle back and I set my scapula as I do that. Okay? So I step back in. I'm also doing my trunk muscles at the same time, working on my glutes too to push off of this leg so the whole body's working. So I step out, external rotation. I like to incorporate even movement of my head. So I'm following through. Okay? So tennis, I gotta be able to look at that ball as it's coming and I hit that ball. And I move my head and I follow through. Okay? And I come back through. Now, keep in mind, as I get out here, I start getting fatigued, you're going to start hiking that shoulder up. No good. Okay? So you got to keep in mind, and what helps me sometimes is if I think about it as hitting the ball down. So I step out, down through here. And I'm still doing scap setting, scapular depression, retraction, pulling it back, and my external rotators are working here too. And I step back. Now if it bugs you too much to go all the way out, don't go so far out. Limit the movement. Okay? Step back in. Out. Step back in. And I'm working a lot of these guys here too. Now, to make it a little bit more challenging, I can get to the end position and I can go boom, 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 boom. Some quick movements out there. Dynamic stabilization stuff going on too. So I'm setting this, and my external rotators are working out here, giving the quick impulses to that to really fire up that rotator cuff there. And then I bring it back. Okay? So I'm still staying below the shoulder level. It gets much harder as I get up in these positions. So we start down here first, always, to work on these guys. Okay? So this is more external rotation. I'm stepping out, doing this, I come back in. step out, do this, I come back in. Okay? So I hope you guys like that. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email. If you want to learn more about these videos, please subscribe to my channel.